The cursed hotel. Moon had always loved exploring hidden places and finding unusual, eerie locations. So, when he heard rumors about the abandoned Willow Creek Hotel, known for its dark past, he knew he had to visit. The hotel had been closed for decades, following a series of mysterious deaths and disappearances that no one could ever explain. Despite the warnings from locals, he packed his camera, flashlight, and a notebook to document his experience. Moon reached the Willow Creek Hotel just as the sun was setting. The building loomed before him, its once grand structure now shrouded in darkness, with vines creeping up the walls and broken windows that looked like hollow, watching eyes. A chill crept up his spine as he pushed open the heavy, creaking door. Inside, the lobby was covered in dust, and faded wallpaper peeled from the walls, revealing claw-like marks etched into the wooden panels underneath. A grand staircase led to the upper floors, its banisters covered in cobwebs. Moon set up his camera and started recording. As he moved further into the lobby, the air grew colder, and he felt an unexplainable heaviness in his chest. There were whispers, faint, distant voices that seemed to come from all directions, yet from nowhere at all. He shook it off, convincing himself it was just the wind. Then he saw it, a figure standing at the end of the corridor, almost hidden in the shadows. It was a woman, dressed in an old-fashioned gown, her face obscured by her long, dark hair. She didn't move, didn't breathe, just stood there, watching. Moon's heart raced. He lifted his camera to take a picture, but the figure disappeared as soon as he pressed the shutter. He moved deeper into the hotel, each step echoing in the eerie silence. The hallway was lined with old, faded portraits, their eyes seeming to follow him. One picture, in particular, caught his attention. A family of 4, all smiling but with eyes that looked strangely lifeless. The faces blurred as he stared at them, and he quickly looked away, feeling a sense of dread creep over him. Exploring further, he entered the dining hall. Chairs were toppled over, and plates lay broken on the floor, as if an abrupt, chaotic event had occurred. Moon stepped carefully, his flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. A draft blew through the room, carrying with it a faint scent of something rotting. He gagged, covering his nose, but the scent only grew stronger, seeming to cling to him. Suddenly, the chandelier above him creaked, swinging ever so slightly despite the stillness of the room. He backed up, keeping an eye on it, and noticed the faint sound of someone humming. The melody was distorted, chilling, echoing through the empty hall like a distant memory from someone long gone. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, making it impossible to locate the source. He stumbled into the adjacent lounge, where old velvet armchairs sat arranged in a circle. On one of the chairs lay a single, dusty playing card, the Queen of Hearts. The card looked freshly placed, as if waiting for him to notice. Just then he heard a soft voice behind him whisper, "Do you want to play?" He spun around, but no one was there. His flashlight flickered, and the temperature plummeted. The whisper echoed again, closer this time, making him shudder. Nervously, he backed out of the room and headed towards the infamous Room 206, known as the Death Room. Locals claimed that a family had died there mysteriously, with no cause of death ever determined. He pushed open the door, and as it creaked, a sense of dread washed over him. Inside, the room looked as if someone had just left. The bed was unmade, a suitcase lay open, and children's toys were scattered across the floor. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind him. Moon ran to open it, but it wouldn't budge. His flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows around the room. Then he heard it, the soft, unmistakable giggle of a child. Panic set in as the giggling grew louder, echoing through the empty room. Moon turned around to find a small, pale child standing by the bed, holding a worn-out teddy bear. Her hollow eyes stared right at him, and she whispered, "Come play with us." Moon backed up against the door, desperate to escape. Just as he was about to scream, the door flew open, and he stumbled back into the hallway. He ran, his footsteps echoing through the abandoned corridors, but the hotel seemed to twist and shift around him, leading him deeper into its heart. He reached the ballroom where a grand chandelier hung precariously from the ceiling, its crystals stained and covered in dust. But as he entered, he saw dozens of ghostly figures dancing in silence, their movements slow and haunting. They turned to look at him, their eyes empty, and suddenly, one by one, they began to disappear into the darkness. Just when he thought he couldn't take it any longer, Moon felt a hand grab his shoulder. He spun around to see the woman in the gown standing behind him, her face finally visible. Her skin was pale, her eyes hollow, and her lips curled into a sinister smile. She whispered, "You're just like the others. You'll never leave." Panicking, Moon tore himself away and dashed down the hallway, desperate to find the exit. The whispers grew louder, merging into a cacophony of voices, each one begging, pleading, cursing. Finally, he saw the entrance and sprinted towards it, feeling the cold hands of invisible forces clawing at his back. Just as he reached the door, he turned around one last time and saw the woman and the child watching him with eerie smiles. Their voices echoed in his mind as he escaped. "Come back soon." Moon stumbled outside, gasping for air. He looked back at the Willow Creek Hotel, but it was silent, its darkened windows staring back at him as if mocking his survival. He vowed never to return, but deep down, he knew that the hotel had marked him. He would never be able to escape the memories or the nightmares. And every so often, late at night, he could still hear the soft, chilling giggle of the child and the whispered words of the woman. "Come play with us."